Hello and welcome to Startup Gippsland Live, a place where both budding and established regional founders can feel right at home. We're here to inspire you to take the path less travelled, to make your idea a reality, and most of all, to hone your entrepreneurial skills so that you can grow and scale your business and realise your potential. Get ready for this episode of Startup Gippsland Live. Now here's your host, Zoe Doyle.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Startup Gippsland Live. I'm your host, Zoe Doyle, and today I'm talking to the incredibly inspiring Glenn Dawson from The Only Straw about his story as a Gippsland founder and how he's using his product to positively impact our marine life and environment for the better. Glenn's search for a quality alternative to the single-use straw began many years ago when he owned and operated small beachfront hotels and restaurants in Lombok, Indonesia. While the hotel business on a tropical island conjured up a life of adventure, it also brought to light the devastation of single-use plastics that were washing up on the beaches daily. In 2019, with Glenn residing back at home in Gippsland, he saw the state government of Australia thankfully and finally talk about single-use plastic bans and decided to act on the idea he'd been thinking about for a number of years. Today, Glenn shares how his journey started with this completely biodegradable, home compostable and zero waste drinking straw and what it can do for our future, our marine life and the environment. Glenn, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Zoe. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's absolutely fabulous to have you here, and I'm so excited to hear more about your journey because you've really started making waves, not only in Gippsland but beyond. So very, very excited for you.
Yeah, it's growing right across Australia now. It's very exciting times. So.
Phenomenal, and it's all a credit to you and your hard work, which brings me into my first question, Glenn. So your journey obviously began on the beachfronts of Indonesia. Tell us a little bit about your story, how you came to, go and do the hotel business over there and where this passion for The Only Straw came from.
Yeah, okay. So it started back in about 2006. We decided to quit our jobs and go and buy a small rundown hotel in Lombok and live on the beach for a couple of years. That was the plan, and we ended up being there for 12 years. But in the meantime, it was, being on the beachfront, of course, anyone that's been to Bali sort of knows what the rubbish is like that comes out of the sea. So we were picking up thousands of straws and cotton buds and, all sorts of little plastic items. So I started thinking about ways that we could get rid of the straw, basically. There had to be a reason or a solution to the problem that was showing up. Sometimes we had thousands of straws on the beach. Yeah.
And was this at a time where it was pretty uncommon to see any types of paper straws at all? Was it still all plastics at that point?
It was all plastics. There was no sort of nobody really even thought about paper straws, I don't think. So it was way before anybody was really even thinking about the disaster that plastic straws were creating. So the straw disaster really wasn't highlighted until somebody in the Galapagos Islands pulled a straw out of a turtle's nose and he'd swallowed it and then regurgitated it, and then it got stuck in the nasal cavity. So, and once that sort of happened, the whole world sort of stopped and had a look at plastic straws finally. So, yeah, it was good.
I'm going to segue a little bit because obviously a big frustration for a lot of people, as much as we love supporting the environment and using paper straws, is the fact that they last about 5 minutes in your drink and then they're absolutely useless. So how's The Only Straw different?
So The Only Straw is different. It's made from rice and tapioca, so it's effectively a noodle. I've got one here in my hand. And what it does is it will sit in the drink like a piece of pasta, basically, and it will last for over an hour in the drink before breaking. So it's at least 5 to 10 times stronger than a paper straw. Yeah, and it's effective. And then after it's lasted in the drink for an hour, it will break down within 90 days to zero waste.
Wow, how fantastic. And it's also gluten-free, is that right?
It's gluten-free, it's vegan-friendly.
Yeah,
it's marine life and wildlife friendly. It's got a lot of positives.
I love it. Good on you, Glenn. So tell us a bit about the barriers that you faced in building your startup so far and how you've overcome these.
Well, the affordability was quite difficult in the beginning. So lots and lots of negotiations with the manufacturer, and finally got it to a price point where I could put it. I've set it in the middle of what a paper straw will cost a restaurant and what an alternative straw will cost a restaurant usually. So we're sitting at about 5 cents a straw roughly, and usually alternative straws sit around 8 to 10 cents. So
wow.
So I think we're quite competitive in that area, and
that's fantastic.
It should work well with that sort of price range, I think.
Yeah. And are there any other barriers or hurdles that you've overcome along the way? I'm sure there's plenty.
COVID-19's been the biggest one. It's, most hospitality businesses have been closed or virtually destroyed budget-wise and et cetera. And, so it's been a little bit difficult to get into places and talk to places. And talk to the owners or the managers or anyone in that point. And it's just put a lot of barriers up which have been difficult to overcome. Nobody really wants to talk about being, eco-friendly or anything at the moment. They just want to talk about how they're going to survive for the next 12 months, basically, and get back to where they were. So that's been a really big barrier. But also I've been growing in why that barrier has been going on. So, I've been here while it's only been COVID-19 while I've had the business. So it's good to be growing in a time where it's so difficult.
Absolutely. And then that just goes to show, imagine the propulsion of that growth once we're sort of, we're always going to live with COVID, but once, things start to regenerate for a lot of these hospitality businesses, it's just going to be exponential growth for you, which is so exciting.
Yeah. It's I think 2022 is going to be a really good year for us. So, it's pretty exciting.
That is fabulous to hear. So, Glenn, you participated in the Startup Gippsland program in 2020. Tell us more about your experience and how the program helped you get to where you are right now.
Well, it was an excellent experience, and the cohort and the community mindedness of it, and all the facilitators, and the whole experience has been excellent. And from week to week, getting the tasks to do and to actually learning about those tasks and Googling more about it and actually learning more about the marketing side of things and setting up the business and finance side of things. And the whole thing was fantastic, and the cohort and the facilitators were really good. So it was, it was like one big family. We were all going through COVID-19 together. It was early days COVID-19, and so it was great that it was all pulled together and worked really well. And to get through to the grand final was probably the biggest thing for me. That was like a real achievement that I'd actually got that far. And my MVP, of course, originally was past the straws, and they contain gluten. So halfway through the actual incubator, I actually changed and went back to something I'd found a few years earlier that wasn't such a great product, but it improved over the years and got more samples of that and ended up with the rice straws. So, so it was all it was a huge learning curve.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And that really leads me into my next question, because we all know that entrepreneurship can be quite a tough road when we're going it alone. So how important do you believe that community is in helping you succeed in your business?
I think it's really important. The community here in Bass Coast is pretty fantastic. Most of the people I've talked to are really they really want the straw or they really want to think about it. So, and they're very environmental conscious. It's a really, really good spot, really, Gippsland, because everyone in Gippsland, I think, thinks about the environment. Yeah, we've got a beautiful place we live in and we need to look after it.
That we do, and we all share similar values around supporting local. It's one of the first questions I get asked when I go into a business. Are you a local? Yeah. Obviously, with you moving into, expanding nationally, how do those sort of conversations go with business owners? Because they might not even know where Gippsland is. So how's your product received there?
Yeah, it's probably a little less warmly received, but at the same time, once they get the straws in the hand, I usually send a sample pack out to them and then speak to them after they've got the sample, and everybody just loves it. Everybody that sees it and touches it and drinks for it just really jumps on it and loves it. So
yeah,
it's been great overall. The community of Australia is getting behind it, which is good.
Let the product speak for itself. I love it because we can all talk a big game, but when people can see it in action, and that's wonderful. Well done.
Yeah, it's been going really well.
That's so great. And Glenn, you also recently appeared on national television to promote the Only Straw. How did this come about, and what kind of response have you received so far?
Well, it came about because I seen that another one of our cohort had been on there.
Yes.
Mads from Cabaret on Call.
Yep.
And I thought, I'm going to email them and see if I can get on there as well. So I emailed them and they emailed me back and said, no, we're not doing any more in 2021. Thanks for your time and everything. We'll keep your info. And I never thought another thing about it. And then they just rang me out of the blue just before Christmas and said, we've got a spot. It was on the Wednesday they rang me. I had to be there on Friday morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. And so I got it all together and got the help from my daughter and her boyfriend, and we went in there at 6 a.m. and set up, and the response was amazing. It's actually, because I've really set it up as a business-to-business venture, now I've found that I need to do also business-to-customer or consumer packs as well, because hundreds of emails from people saying, we want a pack for home, we want a pack for our kids. Lots of people with autistic kids are getting onto it because the autistic kids don't like paper straws because they crumble too quickly on them. Yeah, it's an interesting concept that it's going in so many different directions that, I can't keep up with it at the moment. It's fantastic.
That's really exciting. And for those of you who were listening at home, it was Max Plugapalooza on Sunrise that Glenn was a part of. And we encourage everyone now to apply because, you were actually the third of our alumni to make it on there. So it's been really great. Okay. Gippsland proud for sure. But the concept of going to, B2C as well is definitely full of possibilities because, sometimes it doesn't make sense to, if you don't like the paper straw, to then carry a metal straw, particularly if you're going out and about with your family. So, I would definitely be a consumer of that product as well, for sure. So we would love to know, Glenn, what's next for you and the Only Straw?
At the moment, we're just trying to get our head around it and grow. I've had some fantastic help from a guy up in Traralgon who's warehousing all my goods. So that's all warehoused at a place called Brent Corp, and he's a distributor across Gippsland. So just getting it out there and getting it noticed more than anything. I've got my stepson, so he's been along for the ride for pretty much the whole journey, watching me and sort of throwing in his 2 bobs worth here and there. So he started doing it as a side sort of thing to his job. He started doing a bit of sales and a bit of business development for me, which is fantastic. I don't know what's next. It's I've got a feeling something big's going to happen next, but I just don't know what yet.
It's exciting. And what kind of growth strategies are you focusing on at the moment? Because obviously marketing's a big component. So where are you sort of putting most of your energy to really help you propel to the next step?
Trying to make contacts in the industry. I'm using LinkedIn a lot to try and make a lot of contacts in the industry and just get to a point where sort of everybody's sort of knows that I'm there, I guess. So it's more marketing, possibly myself, but also the straw more than anything, and trying to educate people a little bit and just show that there's an alternative that's, at a good price, so that it's affordable and you can change it and make your customers happy.
Yeah, wonderful. And I love that you mentioned LinkedIn because, a lot of the conversations that we have on this podcast is about building relationships and reaching out to people and sort of, I guess, overcoming those fears of rejection as well, which is all too common for us founders. So well done to you. And any advice that you could give to other founders out there who are sort of trying to break into that next stage in the market?
Just keep going. Just go hard. Don't go home. Go hard. I mean, it's just it's a constant thing that you have to keep up, I guess. And it's that's what I'm doing, and it seems to be working quite well. And I just don't want to give up. I want to get the straws out there. I want to make everybody sort of happy that they're drinking through a straw that's not damaging the environment in any way, not using trees or chemicals, and it's just push forward.
And it helps when you have a product that you're so passionate about as well, definitely. And then you start getting that taste of success and it just makes you want more. So good on you, Glenn. It's been absolutely amazing to sit down with you today and hear more about your startup story and the incredible growth of the Only Straw. So everyone, keep an eye out who's listening, because I think this business is definitely going places in 2022. For those who can't see, he's got his colourful straws up here on the screen. They look bloody awesome. Can't wait to buy some, Glenn. But if any of you at home would like to get in touch with Glenn, you can reach out through his website, theonlystraw.com.au, or via email glenn@theonlystraw.com.au. Well, that's all for today, folks. Be sure to tune into the next episode where I sit down with a Gippsland-based business owner turned coach. Until then, keep dreaming big, taking action, following your entrepreneurial pursuits, and showing the world that the best ideas can come from the smallest of backyards.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Startup Gippsland Live. Please be sure to subscribe, and if you're enjoying the show, we'd love for you to leave us a review. We can't wait to have you tune in again soon. For more great resources and business tips, make sure you head over to our website, startupgippsland.com.au, your home for Gippsland entrepreneurs.